Welcome to Recruiting is No Joke. I'm your host, Joe Lalgee. I am super excited for the next few episodes. I'm going to be airing content that was shot live at RecFest 2025 in Nashville. It was amazing. It was a great festival. For anyone that doesn't know, RecFest is essentially a conference that's done festival style. So I'm talking tents, outdoor. Everybody is relaxed. Everybody is in their element. And it's a really great time to connect with talent acquisition leaders, HR leaders, really anyone who's interested in the people space. I got the opportunity to record live episodes of this podcast. So I've got 5 great guests in the next 2 episodes. And I was able to go to RecFest because of my sponsors for the show for these 2 episodes. And that is a company called Basic Capital. So if you go to basiccapital.com, essentially, Basic Capital has a brand new 401k option for employees. It's a way to actually have your employees more involved in their retirement. It's a lot more customizable, helps them grow their retirement 5 times faster. And I got to actually sit down in one of the episodes with one of the executives from Basic Capital, along with one of their clients who'd actually been using Basic Capital as a way to not only attract top talent, but also to retain top talent. So if you're looking for a better way to serve your current employees to candidates that you're looking to recruit, you're going to want to check out basiccapital.com. They're going to revolutionize how 401ks are done. So massive shout out to the Basic Capital team. You'll see a couple of their team members and one of their clients in one of the episodes. And then we have a variety of TA leaders and HR leaders. Hopefully you enjoy both of these episodes. We really enjoyed RecFest. We had a great time, and we think you're going to love this content as well. And remember, if you want to be a guest of the show, if you want to sponsor the show, please go to www.therealistrecruiter.com, and you can fill out an inquiry to get on the show and meet me, or you can reach out to me at LinkedIn, Joel Lalgee. Enjoy the episodes, and we will see you guys back in a few weeks with our regular episodes again. See you guys. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Recruiting is No Joke. This episode was brought to you by Basic Capital. You're competing for talent, so why settle for the same old benefits? Basic Capital helps your 401k stand out by investing with your employees, boosting their investing power by up to 5 times. It's a new way to show candidates you invest in them too. Ask your team about adding Basic Capital and make your 401k a real recruiting advantage. All right, we are live at the Purple Acorn Tent at RecFest 2025. It is great to be here. I want to give a special shout out to Purple Acorn and Basic Capital for making these interviews happen. We had a great set of interviews yesterday, and today is going to be the same. I would love to introduce our guest. Why don't you tell us who are you, what do you do, and who do you do it for? That's how I always started out.
Yeah, my name is Kiesler. I'm the Director of Human Resources at Workwear Outfitters. So under my scope is everything from talent acquisition, business partnering, engagement, learning and development in a global capacity. So everywhere but Central and South America. We've got an HR director down there.
I love it. And you were, before this role, were you in recruiting as well? So walk us through that journey.
I grew up in recruiting. I got to HR.
Did you grow up wanting to be a recruiter?
No. Oh my gosh. Does anyone? It's like we all stumble into recruiting. I actually thought I wanted to do sales and ended up in a staffing firm. So my first job was a recruiter in a staffing firm, and I didn't want the promotion into sales, and I was the first person that didn't want a promotion.
Wow.
I wanted to stay. There's nothing like changing someone's life by getting them a job. And so I eventually made my way over to corporate recruiting, but I knew that I didn't want to be a vice president of just talent acquisition. I didn't want a slice of the pie. I want the whole pie.
I love that.
So it took timing and the right leadership to finally make the jump over. So I've been fully in the HR space for about 3 years now.
Now, a lot of TA people I talk to, obviously it's been a rough kind of few years for talent acquisition. So a lot of them are looking at maybe transitioning into HR.
Yeah.
And maybe some of these kind of similar fields. What advice do you have for somebody who's maybe been in talent acquisition for 3 to 5 years and they're thinking, hey, I want to actually switch. I maybe want to try a different area of the business.
Yeah.
How do you kind of would be the best strategy to get into that type of role?
I think you have to get closer to the business to get closer to HR. So start partnering with your HR director. Ask to sit in on their learning and development sessions. I think that recruiters have such amazing gut instinct on organizational design and how the work should flow. So you've got to start approaching HR. You got to start telling people that that's what you want and having the right leader that'll start giving you the exposure. I ended up giving our total orientation, onboarding, and a piece of learning and development to my recruitment team to start expanding them, to giving them more opportunities, because I think they're totally capable of doing more.
Yeah. I love that. What are maybe some things that, if someone's thinking about doing the transition, what are some things they should kind of know transitioning into HR that might catch people off guard or maybe they don't think about?
I think one of the biggest leaps I made as a recruiter in becoming a better recruiter was when I understood compensation philosophy. So today, as a recruiter, you just find, here's the range, go, right?
Well, sometimes.
Right. But when you know how to evaluate a job for your company, so you understand the accountability, the authority, the decision-making, the global nature, you have such a deeper understanding that I think compensation philosophy is such an interesting place for recruiters to really start digging in to understand the why.
Yeah, I love that. Any kind of resources, or like what's the best place to go, do you think, to kind of learn about?
I mean, you can just type into any search platform, compensation philosophy, the job leveling tools.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's kind of like a 5-page document. It's very public. We use Aon for it. So it's an easy document to procure.
Amazing. So is this your first time at RecFest then?
No, this is actually my 3rd year. Since I'm local, I've seen it grow year over year.
I've been here both events as well. So like past 2 years, obviously seen a lot of changes. What's been the biggest change for you that stuck out in terms of like vendor content, like what people are thinking about?
I think it's just getting sharper and sharper every year. There's more people that are coming, more relevant vendors, bigger players.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about some of the speakers that we started with 3 years ago versus the speakers they were able to attract this year. Like, it's worth the time to get on a plane and get to Nashville for this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, last year was raining a little bit, so you didn't have that worry.
Oh my gosh, it's perfect.
This side, hearing a lot of people excited about just the overall vibe, right? Like it's not as corporate. You can really kind of connect.
Yes, that's the best part. I'm in sneakers, not heels today.
Exactly. That's just the best part. Get to wear the shorts. I think one of the things we're going to be talking about later is we're going to have a fireside chat.
Yeah.
And it really approaching TA through the lens of HR, which I'm really excited about. Why don't you give us a little preview on kind of like what we're going to be talking about, like why it's important and why recruiters should be tuning in?
Yeah, I think it's really important when I, as an HR leader, am thinking about talent acquisition, I'm thinking about the whole pie. So if I have $100,000 to invest, I'm not just thinking about talent acquisition. And I think that people need to hear that. I think that they need to know that when you're looking at the full employee life cycle, you have to be objective for what your business needs. I also think that HR has a unique perspective over talent acquisition, how they're underutilized, how they can do more, how they can evolve. So I'm excited for it. I think it's great.
What's one area that you think, hey, recruiters, this is a way to up level, upskill in 2025? Like I guess with your team, having them focus on?
I think for me, my team's going to be focusing on development.
Yeah.
I think about the output of work that I have as an HR director, and what the business needs right now is more development in leadership, succession planning, things like that. So I am getting them involved in manager and director trainings, even going to have them run 1 or 2 activities during these 4-hour trainings. But I'm also bringing them to the table for succession planning because they're having the conversations with the employees as their candidates about what do you want in 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
They know they're so well connected to the business just because they're hiring all over the business that development piece, that succession planning piece, I'm bringing them to the table.
Yeah, it seems like now, I mean, across the board, whatever area you're in, whether you're in marketing, HR, sales, recruiting, whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
there's the expectation now of how are you bringing value to the business?
Yes.
How are how are you going to level up next year? How are you using data? How are you looking at the activity you're doing? What are the results it's bringing?
Yep.
Your TA, that can be a challenge, right? We get labeled as the cost center, but it's the ROI. So I think using these tools, not to necessarily just replace all the things we don't want to do, using it to get more strategic, it's huge. What advice do you have for, maybe people who are like up and coming on how they can get more strategic? Like, do they need to be, you mentioned partnering with HR, any other like resources or activities they should be doing that you kind of would advise them to do?
Yeah, you're connected to hiring managers, but just by the nature of your job. So you've got to go deeper with your hiring managers. You have to understand and be able to help them solve the problem of if they are going to go 40 plus days without someone in the role.
Yeah.
How can they reconfigure the work on their team before you hire the person? You have an hour with them. You should be going deeper in those conversations to influence them, to build your credibility. And that's just going to help you have a better visibility to leadership. It's going to make people start saying your name in rooms that you're not even in. And it's a way to expand what you do without having to burn more time. You're already having these meetings with the managers. So why are we only talking about recruiting in that meeting?
Yeah.
You have their ear. So go deeper.
I think it's huge. It's building the relationships. I was talking to someone yesterday. Obviously, there's so many tools, right?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we can look at it and go, that's what we need. We need another tool. We need some automation. But the truth is, if you're working with a great hiring manager, if you're working with a hiring manager you don't have that relationship with, you don't have that credibility, it doesn't matter what tools you have. It doesn't matter what the tech stack is. You're not going to get the roles filled.
No.
Do you have like a go-to way of kind of connecting with hiring managers, or what advice would you have for, like, let's say someone who's junior and they're trying to connect with a leader in the business? Like, how do they approach those conversations to build that credibility?
So if they're your hiring manager, then you're coming into the meeting with insights to give them. So before they're ever speaking, you're talking about, this is what's going on in the market. Externally, this is where I could see internal talent coming into. You're bringing the insights before they ever ask for them.
I love that.
Yeah, I hate
So we're talking about like salary, location of
like
where people are at, what companies are at.
What gut feel, this is what I'm seeing on LinkedIn, but this is what employment data is saying. I don't think they align, but and this is why. So having those insights before they're ever like, this is what I need, before you're really getting into the weight of the conversation, just builds that type of credibility. I don't love if one of my recruiters in their performance review or their goals for the year wrote, I want to increase my time to fill by 2 days, I would immediately send it back. I want to have better data insights to influence my managers.
Yeah.
That's how you build credibility. That's how the manager is going to come back to your office. They're going to give you feedback immediate. They're going to view you as the ultimate professional and make them level up to your standard.
I love that. Being prepared. And I think, I coach candidates on that all the time. When you go in the interview, nowadays, that's the best use of AI, is to gather that data, have intelligence, go in.
So easy.
Be smarter. And I think if you're not going into those conversations like that, that first impression, that counts. And if you have a bad first impression, everything else is a battle then.
Yeah.
How are you going to consult them on who to hire, who the best candidate's going to be?
It's so true. And you have to remember, your hiring managers are not interview experts.
Yeah.
They might have to hire someone once every 2 years.
Yeah.
So they're just as nervous as the candidates walking through the door. So you also have to you have to build them up so they feel confident. They're not going to tell you they don't know how to interview. You have to assume that they don't know what they're doing here.
Yeah.
So what else can you provide them? You've learned about the role. What interview questions can you create for them specifically? And I'm not talking a whole booklet, like 1 or 2. Make sure you ask these 2 questions because it'll help you understand this. Because they're not good interviewers at the end of the day. They need to learn.
Well, that's why you end up with these processes that are around same question over. And I always like to ask, like, why are you asking a question? What information are you getting? And it's the same from the candidate perspective too. A lot of them are trying to prepare questions beforehand. I'm like, no, be involved in the conversation.
Yes.
Let the questions be organic. So
Right.
where can people find out more about you? Where can people connect with you? And what's the best place for people to find you?
Yeah. Definitely on LinkedIn when it comes to my professional self.
I've heard of
There's that place.
amazing. And then we'll be, is it Inspire Stage?
I think so. Or is it the Unplugged
Innovate,
stage?
Unplugged.
It's one of them.
One of the stages at 1:30. I'm super excited to host the conversation. And guys, once again, a special shout out to Purple Acorn for hosting these conversations. And we got a gift from our friends at Basic Capital.
Oh,
Well, so huge shout out to Basic Capital for sponsoring, making this content possible. And Caroline, thank you so much. Look to our chat later.
I know. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. All right, welcome back to Recruiting is No Joke Live. We are live at RecFest 2025. We're pumped to be here. I want to give a special shout out to Basic Capital for making this podcast episode possible. I got another really exciting guest. So I always start off the podcast by asking, who are you, what do you do, and who do you do it for?
Well, Joel, thanks for having me.
Well,
Kearstin McGinnis. I oversee recruitment for a GovCon, IT government contractor called TekSynap out in the DC area, but we are nationwide and in 5 countries. So we are busy.
Amazing. All right. And is this your first time at RecFest?
No, I've been here all 3 years.
You've been here all 3 years?
I'm a veteran. I am a veteran.
Okay, so this is good. This is good because I get a lot of first timers. So, how has the event changed? Like, what have you seen as like the biggest change from like year one to now?
The growth, just the growth in attendance, the growth in the extra. I call it all the extra stuff.
Yeah.
The content, it's changed.
Just all AI.
It's all AI, but there's all an AI component, it seems like. But it's the growth has just been exciting for Jamie and team.
Yeah, I love it. And I know obviously there is a lot of AI vendors out there. What are you excited about? What are the things that you're seeing work with your team? How are you implementing AI into what you do? And is there anything that's kind of caught your eye as you've been looking around at it? Maybe not specific vendors, but just things that they're doing, just things they're doing.
Sure. We are in the infancy phase. Yeah. Even as a tech company on the recruiting side, we're in the infancy phase. So for me, my goal just today was to sit into sessions of people that have implemented it.
Yeah.
And the steps that they took to get from zero usage to how quick can we get to fully implementing it into practices that make sense within our processes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a big piece, right? You got to know your own process, know how you can implement AI in. And like you said, it is infancy. Is there anything that surprised you about any of the vendors or anything that you've seen where you're like, all right, you know what? I could implement that into my process.
The interviewing scares me a little bit.
Okay.
But now is the time to ask those questions, to have the conversations, to see if it's something for certain positions, certain contracts, certain customers, or certain recruiters that we might be able to take that from not doing it to, is it something we can entertain?
Yeah.
And more importantly, will our customer, the candidate, how will they feel about that? Because we're in the GovCon space. It's cleared work, and it's a little different than service industry or something else.
Yeah, I mean, super niche. You're probably relying a lot on referrals, network, and who you know. So how important it is for you then in your process to really kind of keep that human, that candidate experience in there.
So important.
Yeah.
So important. We want them to know that they're talking to a person. We try to build those relationships, and because it takes time, it might take 2, 3, 4 emails or phone calls before they pick up the phone or respond to that email. And by then, we want to have known them as a person.
Yeah.
And we want them to know us as a company, as well as the recruiter that they're working with. A lot of our relationships start from just a resume on, name a job board, and then continue after they've been hired, or even months after they have that first conversation where they return back to us and say, hey, I'm ready for a move within the company, or I think I'm ready to go here. How do I get there? Or, hey, we had a conversation 6 months ago.
Yeah.
What do you have for me? Do you have something that might align?
What's because it's been coming up a lot. Obviously, it's easier right now to send messages. It's easier to DM people. It's easier to put out content. What do you think the key is to really keeping those relationships going? And like, how do you kind of train your team? How do you kind of keep relationships going long term and kind of balance, those volume of messages that you have to send out to how you nurture relationships? Like, what's the key to that in terms of just building relationships?
Finding that relationship to nurture, because you want to nurture them all. You absolutely want to nurture them all. And there are ways that you can do that.
Yeah.
But for us, it's find the candidates that you've connected with, and then figure out how you're going to nurture them. Which way do they want to be nurtured, rather? Find out how you're going to do that. It could be phone calls, it could be emails, it could be text messages, just simple, hey, just thinking about you, how's your week been? I've heard a lot sliding into the DMs, and that is such a foreign term for me to use in recruitment, but it makes sense. You have to go to where the candidate's at. You can't wait for the candidate to come to you, and you have to meet them where they're at. If they want the text message, give them the text message. If they want the email, send the email.
Yeah.
They want to meet in person. We encourage that. It's rare that we get to do that nowadays because of just where my recruiters are at and where our candidates are at. But if we can make it happen, we want to.
Yeah, it's funny because I've seen a lot of content recently around Gen Z, or maybe like Gen A, I guess they're predicting like almost like unplugging and kind of getting away from emails and social media. And, I think a lot of people are predicting that's going to be a push away from that. Is there a world that you could see recruiting being more like going to events and meeting people? I guess how do you kind of play that into your strategy as well?
I wish there was someone with early careers sitting here, because I would love to know what they're seeing. But having a 21-year-old myself,
yeah,
I see the same thing. She used to be very much into social media, and now it's text messaging. Don't email her.
Yeah.
Don't email her. Like, she might email me and then say, Mom, I haven't responded in 5 minutes. But I wish I knew what the next thing was going to be. People said TikTok for a really long time. And
yeah,
no, that's social media. It's not where we're going to be. Maybe it's YouTube. Maybe it's a podcast. Maybe it's a blog that we set up. I'm not sure yet.
How do you, obviously there's a lot of noise out there, like we were just discussing. How do you kind of coach recruiters on how to stand out from that noise? So you're reaching out to a candidate that doesn't know you. What are the kind of things that you do to stand out and just really kind of look different from everybody else that's reaching out?
Yeah. Set yourself apart and do your homework. Don't send the if you will, the AI email, the one that gets generated for you. For you. Yes, that's easy.
The personalized message.
Personalized message. Take it, because it's going to still save you time, but still personalize it a little bit more. Figure out where that person's at. Where did they go to school? Do you have a connection there? Did you see them post something via LinkedIn or another platform that might intrigue them? Everyone has their own flavor to that. I get personal. Yes, I get personal in email, or I get personal in my messages, but not too personal, right? And then highlight what the why behind your reaching out to them. It's so important, like why me, or why you, and why they should choose us or TekSynap or that position, or even pick up the phone or have a conversation and build that connection rate. We have a new platform, and I've been watching the response rate, and we're at about 50 to 75% on responses on this new platform. And I think it has a lot to do with just taking the time after the sourcing piece to really personalize that message.
It's really interesting because I know a lot of tools that I've seen out there promise the personalization, and usually it's been boiled down to past companies you've worked with or something from a profile. What tips would you have for people on like really, how to do that research, and like how long should they spend? Like where do you usually just go to a LinkedIn profile? Like what's your advice for people on like how to dig a little bit deeper, and like what's that approach while still keeping it somewhat scalable so you can kind of keep that volume up?
Company is great, of course, because that's what the personalized message does. If you're on LinkedIn, where have they posted? What have they liked?
Yeah.
Do you have a group? Because you can normally see that in some of the profiles very quickly. Do you have a group that you're connected to, and maybe you saw something that they may have been interested, or they may be interested in from that particular group?
Are you finding people are more engaged now on LinkedIn than maybe before, or you kind of see it down? Like what's that been like?
Yes and no. I say we, the collective we on the team, we use it more as when they haven't reached out to us through another point of contact or another 2 points of contact. A lot of our recruiters are using LinkedIn as that third point, and that's where they're getting the connection, because now the name's not foreign to them, or the company's not foreign to them.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. So third year at RecFest, for people who aren't used to going to conferences, and maybe they're considering going to RecFest next year, what's your approach to making it a successful conference? And like, what makes a successful conference for you just as an attendee?
As an attendee, yeah, absolutely. Great question. Look at the schedule. Look at who's going to be there and map it out. If you're trying to do that day of, you're going to miss opportunities.
Yeah.
So take the time to look at the schedule, map out who you want to see, map out what booths you want to visit, and kind of get your game plan so that you're stuck in the moment, not the phone or the map and trying to figure out where you're going to
That
go.
on me today.
No,
I got lost.
you got
I
well.
walked around in a circle and started sweating.
No, it's 2:35 Nashville time, and I just realized there's a fourth stage right here. I couldn't find it, so
I love that.
yeah. And then like to walk away from it, you can be so overwhelmed after 2 days.
Yeah.
But I used to pick 5 things that I wanted to do or implement as I got back, or take a deeper dive into. And then I heard another session today. She said, pick just 3. You're going to accomplish 3. And I was like, that makes sense. Normally I get to 4. Sometimes I get to the 5th, but I always get to 3.
Well, what advice in terms of like maximizing those connections as well, right? Because you mentioned like there's so many people, like you get overwhelmed easily. So do you have like a way to connect during the conference, and then like what's your kind of game plan afterward, or like how do you kind of keep those conversations going?
Yep. So when I sit in a session, I'm connecting with someone on LinkedIn and sending them a message immediately about something I saw in their presentation.
Yeah.
Because that reminds me what I heard, especially if I'm still doing that messaging through LinkedIn. And in some cases, you're exchanging phone numbers, you might be exchanging emails, but setting that time to make sure that you connect within the next probably 7 to 14 days, let it all digest. And then
that momentum going. Yeah, it's cool. Like I know for me, like my first conference in person was like 3 years ago at RecFest. So that was the first one I went, and I remember that's how it was. It was like you're overwhelmed. There's a lot of people. And just even taking that time after each day to decompress and look at, okay, what have I learned? What have I taken away? Who did I meet that was impactful? And then just making sure that you follow up. Otherwise, I think you just, you can get lost in there. What about with vendors? Like, what are the things that you're looking at, like when you go to a vendor? Because obviously, I think they got over 100 vendor sponsors, which is huge, which is awesome.
it's great.
But like, what are the types of things that you look for in choosing a vendor, or like where to spend time, and like how do you kind of decipher between what each vendor is doing to really figure out like what solution's going to work for you?
Sure. So last year we thought we were going to be shopping for an ATS, so that's where I focused. I want to talk to the ATSs that were present. This year I took a little bit of a different approach, and it's what do we not have? Because the moment you need it, you have a lot of homework ahead of you to get from point A to point B, and then you have approval and then implementation. So this year it's what do we not have? And just go in with an inquisitive mind.
I know you're working with like your internal tech team as well to kind of get an idea of what needs they have, or like how does that work internally with the company?
Yeah, a lot of collaboration there. A lot of collaboration with our IT team, with HR, of course. And then this year to RecFest, we brought 2 members of our marketing team.
Oh, wow.
Because there's so much that they can take from this. So it's collaboration with them of, hey, I saw this vendor on the list. I would love for you just to go to have a conversation and see if it's something that makes sense. I clicked over to another booth to say, look at that setup. Like, we've been doing some things with a lot of video and audio equipment. I was like, you're going to love that.
Yeah. Are you doing a lot of content within their recruitment process as well, or?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
So
we're getting there. We're getting there. We do a monthly Teams chat, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think we can expand on it from there, but it's coming.
I love it. So where's the best place for people to connect with you? So anyone who's listening and they want to connect with you, where's the best place?
Absolutely. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I am the only Kearstin McGinnis on LinkedIn, so I'm very, very, very easy to find.
Yeah, if you can't find it, you are not a real recruiter.
The trick is to spell Kearstin. But that's the best place. Let me know how you found me, and would love to connect.
I love it. Are you planning on being here next year as well?
That's the plan. That is the plan. Travel schedule allows, absolutely.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us today. I hope you have a good rest of the conference. And guys, thank you for listening and tuning in. If you're listening live, it's great to be with you guys at RecFest. And if you're listening afterward, it's great to have you on the podcast as well. Recruiting is no joke. And I would give a special shout out as well to Purple Acorn and Basic Capital as well. And speaking of which, we do have a special gift from Basic Capital as well.
Thank you.
Can't go wrong with a gift. Always remember that. Gifts are great. So thank you so much, Kearstin. It's great to meet, and hopefully we'll talk soon again. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.